and welcome to our webinar today. I'm very excited to be here with all of you today. We have a wonderful set of people in the panel today. And of course, it's always a pleasure to see all of you. And I just want to take one more second to congratulate you all. I see some familiar names, so I'm very excited to see you all back. And again, as I mentioned in my previous presentation, this is a time to ask a lot of questions as well. We have a wonderful team of advisors here in our presentation today. So let's go ahead and get started. And as we do this, I'm going to go ahead and give people just one more minute to come in. But as they do, we actually want to know a little bit about you. And I want us all to know a little bit about us. So in the chat box, please go ahead and let us know where you're joining us from, what country you're joining us from, so we can obviously address you properly. So let's take a look. Very good. So go ahead and let us know. From Spain, well, hello, it is evening there. My gosh. So welcome from Spain. We have from New Hampshire, welcome Tamara. We have from Maine, Sylvain. We have Mauritius, yes indeed, Asger, welcome. Switzerland, welcome. We have from California, Isaac. Columbus, Ohio, Gaia, thank you for joining us. Rebecca, General US, China, Astrid, thank you very much. Toronto, very good. So we have Ontario on board. Constantin from Germany, India as well, Reshma, thank you, welcome. We have more from France, very good. So we have also students from Philadelphia, Winnipeg, fellow Canadians, Kuwait, thank you. From Colombia as well, welcome. We have Vancouver Island, New York State, Cape Breton. Oh, Cape Breton is beautiful. Malaysia, Texas, India, Hong Kong, my gosh, and people are still coming in. So this is an exciting group and definitely one that represents our educational institution. So let's go ahead and get started. I just want to make sure that everyone has all the information we need, you need. So let me tell you a little bit about how our webinar is going to take place. It is divided into 3 parts. We will have a lot of information regarding the Bachelor of Science. We're going to have information about the Bachelor of Arts and Science. We're going to also talk about student services, internships, etc. And this will take about 30 minutes. And then we will wrap up with a 15-minute Q&A. So as questions come up, feel free to ask them in the chat, and then we'll take questions at the end. So let's go ahead and get started and take a look. And I want you all to meet our special guests that we have from the Faculty of Science. So I'd like my great colleagues to turn on their cameras so they can also see you all. And I am going to hand it over to Pete and then Tanya, and then we'll go ahead with Paul. Up your volume, Pete. There you go.
You to think after 2 years. I'm Pete Barry. I'm the Chief Academic Advisor for the Faculty of Science, and welcome.
Excellent. Pete is going to be in the chat, and he's going to also be helping in that way as well. Tanya.
Hello, everyone. Congratulations. Welcome to McGill. And my name is Tanya Rago, and I'm the degree advisor. So the person who handles basically everything for the Bachelor of Arts and Science.
Excellent. Thank you. And Paul, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Patricia. I'm Paul Leoff, one of the advisors in the Faculty of Science. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone out there. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to McGill. I'm sure you're going to appreciate the experience that you have here. So, congratulations. Many of you out there have been admitted to the Faculty of Science and the Bachelor of Science. I just want to, once again, extend a warm welcome, and please feel free to go along to the next slide. So, you've all been admitted, for the most part, into 4 different academic groups. There's the Physical Earth, Math, and Computer Science. There's the Biological, Biomedical, and Life Sciences. There's the Biophysical and Computational Sciences. And actually, there's one group that you haven't been admitted to, but could likely want to apply to, which is the Neuroscience stream. So these are the admissions groups in the BSc. Now, if you're in, well, okay, here are some of the options if you're in the biophysical sciences. There's biology and mathematics, computer science and biology, physiology and mathematics, and physiology and physics. Essentially, if you're looking at these majors, they're an interesting combination of both the biomedical and the physical sciences. So they give you a fantastic, well-rounded background in, future potential research that really encompasses the whole area of the science that we teach. Suivant. Merci. Now, these are the BSc structures. Some people are looking for a slightly more general type of undergraduate degree, which is why we have something called the liberal. If you're in a liberal Bachelor of Science, it means that you have to have a second program with your liberal, which could be a minor, another major in the Faculty of Arts, or a second liberal. It doesn't necessarily prevent you from entering professional programs like medicine. It doesn't necessarily prevent you from entering even graduate school, but it does give you a more well-rounded, diverse experience. The major, which is about 60 credits, essentially is kind of the standard that most students pursue. And it's there to give you both the depth that you need for grad school and the breadth to allow you a few extra courses that we call electives. But at the same time, too, that once again gives you a background for grad school if you want it. Now, if you're somebody who already has a pretty specific idea of what they want to do and want to potentially pursue graduate school right after graduation, an honors program tends to be a little bit more in depth, tends to require research and courses that go into a bit more detail. Now, I was talking about minors before, so they could be in science and the Faculty of Arts and several different other faculties. They're 18 to 24 credits. It's an option if you don't just want to do elective credits, but really have a concentrated idea in another subject. And the main goal is to reach 120 credits to graduate. So that's why we have electives. There's no such thing as a required number of electives, but electives are basically anything in your degree that's not part of your program. Suivant, s'il vous plaît. So let's take a look once again at the liberal program. So as I said before, it's a broad program. You can combine it with minors in several different faculties. You can actually do a second major in arts if you want, and you can do a second core science component. So you can explore primary and secondary interests. You can go into two science disciplines of equal interest, but you're still going to have some room for elective courses. The good news is you can still get a Bachelor of Science, but you'll come out of it with a far greater, let's say, breadth than somebody who just focuses on one thing. After all, not all of our students are the same, and I think it's a good thing. Next, please. So again, with the major program, it's kind of the standard program that everybody starts in. There's more depth and flexibility. You can select a single discipline like chemistry, atmospheric science, biology, physiology, etc. You can do what's called a joint major, which is a combination like physiology and physics, or some of those biophysical sciences I mentioned, or you can do something like the environment, which is an interdisciplinary major. You still have room for a minor if you want it, and you still have room for electives if, let's say, you need them because, pardon me, you need some prerequisites, let's say, for medical school. Very easy to switch between BSc major and liberal, and sometimes honors within your program. So you don't have to make up your mind immediately. You do have time, let's say if you start in a major in your second year, to maybe switch to a liberal or an honors later on. Thank you. Next slide, please. And the most structured and the most specialized program that you'll normally go into in your U1, that's your second year, or possibly your third or fourth year, is the honors. So your specialization is really more in one particular area. There's generally a large research component. You have to maintain a certain GPA. You may be able to add a minor, but the main thing is, let's say you're going into something like honors in math, and your primary focus is eventually to go into graduate school in math. This facilitates it. This means that you have, a relatively set idea of what you want to do down the road. Hence, you choose this program. Now, you often have the opportunity to go from the honors back to the major if you change your mind. A lot of students, excuse me, do essentially change their mind, but people will sort of say right off the bat, I'm very, very interested, let's say, in going into graduate school in this area. So that's the honors degree. Okay, thank you. And now I'm turning it over to Tanya Rago in the Faculty of Arts and Science.
Thanks, Paul. So some of you may have also been admitted to the Bachelor of Arts in Science, or have only been admitted to the Bachelor of Arts in Science. So I'm going to go through the program structure to explain a little bit what this degree is. So it is quite unique, and it is the interdisciplinary degree that McGill has at the undergraduate level, and it has two basic program structures. So on the next slide, we're going to go through the first one. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So the first way of doing a Bachelor of Arts in Science is following what's called the multi-track program, where you have a major concentration in science and a major concentration in arts. You will also take an integrative course. So those of you who are coming in, that may be something that we talk about, but you don't have to worry about it too much right now. What is important is it is important to look at the different options that are available to you as major concentrations in the BA and SC degree. So in the e-calendar, there's a section where it lists all of those options. Next slide, please. The more common structure to the Bachelor of Arts in Science is what we call interfaculty programs. So these are programs that are 54 credits, and we have 3 of them. So about, I would say, 75% of students in the Bachelor of Arts in Science tend to follow these interfaculty programs. They are inherently interdisciplinary, so you go back and forth between courses from the Faculty of Arts and courses from the Faculty of Science. If you're looking to, get some research experience and maybe upgrade your interfaculty program, a very popular option are also our honors programs, which are 60 credit. So students who are in the interfaculty programs or the honors programs will also be completing a minor or minor concentration. And these minors or minor concentrations are, again, from the Faculty of Arts and Science. Next slide, please. Paul and I think it was, yeah, thank you. So Paul and I are from an office at the university called the Science Office for Undergraduate Student Advising. So it's commonly referred to as SUSA. So if you ever hear people talk about SUSA, that's us. So normally we're physically located on campus in a building called Dawson Hall. We have been on a hybrid model, so sometimes we're on campus, sometimes we're at home during the pandemic. But by the time you guys start in September, I mean, if all goes well, the idea is we will be completely in person and have the opportunity to meet all of you physically, hopefully in our offices, or a combination of remotely and in person. So what do we do? And well, we do all the faculty level advising at SUSA. So the 2 degrees that the Faculty of Science offers, which are the BA and SC and the BSc, the degree advisors are all located in our office called SUSA. Next slide, please. So we provide you with academic advising. So it's a relationship between the student and the advisor. And the aim is to basically for you to develop meaningful goals and to really make the most out of your time at McGill. And I mentioned Dawson Hall, which is what you see here in this picture. Next slide, please. So generally, we'll be able to help you with program and course selection, course registration, deadlines, credit load. If you're interested in research or internships, study away, exchange. If you want help on the next step after your undergraduate degree, we're here to help you with that. Sometimes it happens if you are having a little bit of trouble, we're here to support you. And basically where that kind of first stop for any referrals to any offices or services that are needed at McGill. We're a good place to start for any questions that you may have. I think now it's your turn, Paul.
Thanks a lot, Tanya. And just to go over a few things about the BSc freshman program, this is very important. So the freshman program consists of 7 courses. It's 23 to 27 credits, depending on courses chosen. In your first year, you might be able to take 1 or 2 electives, but primarily you want to focus on finishing your freshman program. Some of you will be coming in with some advanced standing, whether it's a French baccalaureate or an international baccalaureate. That can count towards your freshman requirements, but regardless of whether you're coming in as a freshman or with enough credits to be U1, you have to finish these freshman requirements to graduate. The structure is pretty straightforward. You can either do 2 math courses, usually calculus and linear algebra, or 2 calculus courses, 4 foundational sciences, and we consider the foundational sciences to be biology, chemistry, and physics, and 1 complementary science, which could be another foundational science, or things like computer science, atmospheric science, geography, earth system science, or psychology. Your other option, and this is if you're more interested perhaps in the physical science stream, is to do 3 math courses, which would be the 2 calculus and 1 linear algebra, 3 foundational sciences, and 1 complementary science. So remember, this is what you need to graduate. This is what you should be finished by the end of your first year. And basically, some of your advanced standing can count towards it. But regardless of how you enter the university, you must finish your freshman requirements. Thank you. Please go to the next slide. Now, these are the complementary courses I was talking about. ATOC 100, as we call it, extreme weather and climate change. Yes, these things exist. Computer science, intro to computing. The languages change every few years like hairstyles, but it's a fantastic thing to have whether you're in the computer science program or you're just looking for program experience, because it's very valuable if you're looking for research down the road. The Earth system, which is a fantastic combination of the Earth system sciences, geography, atmospheric science, geology, global change, past, present, and future. And of course, intro to psychology, which a lot of students take. So these are the complementary courses I was referring to. As you can see, you have quite a flexible freshman program if you need it. Now the next slide will be Tanya's.
So the BANSC also has a freshman program, but just like the degree and the programs, it is a mix of arts and science courses. So a little bit unlike the BSc, most students sometimes will take more than 1 year to complete the freshman program. It will not keep you from progressing in your degree. It's just because the freshman program is 8 courses, and it is anywhere between 24 to 28 credits, depending on the courses that you choose. Some basic science courses are 3 credits, while some are 4. You might be able to take 1 or 2 electives, again, depending on what courses you choose during your first year. So the structure is 2 math courses, so 2 basic math courses, 3 science courses, and 3 arts courses. So your freshman program must include at least 1 from biochem physics. And you could also select up to 2 complementary courses. So the complementary courses that are acceptable in the BANSC are Comp 202, ESYS 104, and Psych 100. If anyone is interested in cognitive science, which tends to be about half of the students in the Bachelor of Arts and Science, definitely keep your eye on Psych 100. That's going to be an important course. The last part of the freshman program would be the arts courses from at least 2 categories. So you will not just be doing math and science, you will also have to do 3 arts courses. And just like Paul mentioned, it is possible to fulfill these course requirements, so these different components with your advanced standing. I would say that most of our early communications, whether by email or over Zoom or in information sessions, will mostly be to just generally plan what your freshman program is. And a lot of that will depend on the advanced standing that you are coming to the university with, which brings us to the next slide. So McGill grants credits due to previous education. So if you come from any of these high school curriculums, so IB, French Bac, European Bac, A-levels, if you've done AP exams, you may be awarded or you will be awarded credits and some course exemptions. So these credits can count towards your 120 credits that you need in order to graduate with an undergraduate degree. And these course exemptions that you may be getting can satisfy freshman program requirements, as well as prerequisites for your second year, or for those courses, foundational courses in your programs once you declare a program. If you have advanced standing for a course, you cannot repeat that course for credit at McGill. So if you have written an AP Bio and you are receiving credits and exemptions for Bio 111 and Bio 112, you cannot repeat those courses at McGill for credit. Students with enough credits to enter U1 must still complete their freshman requirements. This is extremely important. It is possible that some of you with your advanced standing may be receiving enough credits to show up as a U1, but this does not mean that you have fulfilled your freshman program requirements. So the link here on this page is very important. So mcgill.ca/transfer credit. This link will allow you to anticipate what your advanced standing will be. So you'll be able to see the credits and the course exemptions. So very important in the planning of your freshman program, but also what courses you'll be registering for in your first year. Next slide, please. I don't believe any of you are coming from CEGEP right now, but it is possible. And if you are coming from CEGEP, which is the local curriculum in the province of Quebec, you are coming in as a U1, and you are completing 90 credits rather than 120 credits. But you may also be awarded certain exemptions. So it is important to note that if you are receiving an exemption for organic chemistry 1 or 2, at McGill, those are Chem 212 and 222. You will not be able to do those courses at McGill for credit. Same for stats courses like Math 203, or if you have an exemption for Calculus 3, which at McGill is Math 222. Next slide, please. Okay, so if you are coming in as a U1 student and you have completed your freshman program, or virtually completed your freshman program, or in your second year, for those of you who will only be U1 in your second year, you will have a departmental or program advisor. So once you are a U1, you basically will have potentially 2 advisors, and some of you may have 3 advisors. You will have your SUSA degree advisor, and you will have your departmental program advisor. Once you declare a program, you will have to consult with the program advisor for the course selection for that said program. Program advisors are really great. They're people that we often communicate with. Some of them will be available to you, especially if you are coming in as a U1 and you will be declaring a program and have fulfilled a large part of your freshman program. Next slide, please. So what is a normal course load at McGill? So normally it is between 12 to 15 credits. So 4 to 5 courses. Many professional programs do prefer that you take 30 credits per year. So that is equivalent to basically 5 courses per term. I did mention before that there are some freshman science courses that are worth 4 credits. So it is possible that you may be taking 4 courses and still being enrolled in 15 credits. If you are working or you participate in varsity sports, there is a possibility that it is important, you may reduce your course load. You could talk to your SUSE advisor about that. Also, if you've been awarded a scholarship, it's important to read the letter and see what the scholarship eligibility is if they require you to be enrolled in a certain amount of courses per year. Next slide, please. So there are 3 main types of courses that you're going to be taking during your time at McGill. There are required courses, which means you must take this course for your program. Then there are complementary courses. They give you a list and require you to take a certain number of courses from that said list. And then finally, we have what are called elective courses. These courses are not part of your degree. These are sometimes courses that could be connected to your programs, but they are not part of your program. But this is where you can have some fun and possibly take some courses that are completely outside of your primary area of interest. You know, for example, maybe you wanted to take an art history course just to try that out. That would be an elective credit. And you will all have to do some elective courses in order to accumulate enough credits to graduate. Next slide, please. Normally, you are allowed to take courses outside of the faculties of arts and science. In the case of Bachelor of Science students or BSc students, you are allowed to take only up to 18 credits. BA and SC students can take up to 12 credits. So this is for the entirety of your degree. Not all courses are allowed for credit. There is a small list of courses that you cannot receive credit for. You check with your degree advisor. Again, at SUSA, we will give you that list if you lose this link that is here. And obviously, there can be some differences depending on the program that you're in. So I can speak for the BA and SC, but if you are a sustainability student, an environment student, you may be able to go above 12 credits outside of arts and science. I'm going to pass it off to Paul.
All right, thank you very much. Next slide, please. All right, so one of the most important things that you can do as part of your undergraduate degree, and remember, always say thank you to me 100 times when I've sent you an email, so that way when I'm doing presentations, I can be distracted, but it's okay, I don't get distracted. I'm hyper-focused. So science internship programs are paid full-time work in a field related to your studies. It's usually between 4 and 16 months, depending on whether you decide to do it during your academic year or whether you decide to do it in the summer. Now, it allows you to apply theory to practice, definitely increases job prospects after graduation. I would even hesitate or not hesitate to say it could even help you with graduate school, because it's always important to show that you can take your theoretical knowledge and apply it to solving practical problems. We have an excellent internship office that will help set you up because internships are paid. And you could wind up with an internship notation on your transcript to show that you've completed at least 2 internships if you decide to do 2 different consecutive internships. So the science internship program is just one of the many extras that we offer and quite valuable for those who are seeking a career just after they graduate. Next slide, please. We also have field study opportunities. This is a great opportunity to take McGill courses in another location. Now we have some fairly interesting, what we would call exotic locations. I mean, exotic if you're from Montreal, at least. There's semester-long programs in Africa, Barbados, the Panama, and potentially the Arctic, and various shorter field courses that are also available. So basically what you're doing is in that semester, you're taking McGill courses, but in a totally different location. Want to learn a lot about sustainability in Barbados? It's a lot easier to do it if you're in Barbados than, let's say, studying in a classroom in Montreal. It applies to people in many different programs. And the good news is, even if you're not in a program that's necessarily perfectly geared towards these courses, we also have a field studies minor. So that's another thing to look at. Most people go away usually in at least their second year. So you definitely have an opportunity to attend information sessions and find out more about it. So these are our field studies opportunities. Next slide, please. Research is honestly the cornerstone of many undergraduate degrees, and there's a lot of opportunities to do research at McGill. There's funded research through things like the SURA and, of course, the NSERC. There's opportunities to work with professors where you're doing, let's say, a research course. And we devote a lot of time to assisting students in both applying for, the funded research like that, or potentially seeking out research opportunities on your own. The one thing to know is that, think of it this way, only 1 out of 4 PhDs actually choose academia as a career. Professors are there to help you and mentor you, and it's not an unusual thing for a student to request from a professor permission to do research with them. It requires you to do a little bit of research on what they're doing and to tie it together with the kind of research that you're interested in and explain why. So undergraduate research is something students carry out usually a little bit later in their degree. But again, for anyone going into grad school or who has the intention of going to grad school, it's a fantastic way to prepare for it and decide if it's right to you and show that you have experience. Next slide, please. Now, there's also a lot of opportunities to study away, because I think a lot of students don't feel entirely complete unless they've had an opportunity to see what it's like to study at another university and integrate that into their McGill experience. Now, if you're entering your U1 year, that means if you're in a 3-year degree, you would have to start thinking about, going on exchange really at the end of your first semester. For many of you, you'll be here for 4 years, and this is something you really only start thinking about in your second year. Now, you can, when you're on exchange, or you will, when you're on exchange, pay McGill University fees. So it doesn't really matter what the tuition is at the host university because you're paying McGill fees. If there's a school, for example, that you want to go to that we don't have as an exchange partner, and we have a lot of exchange partners, you can arrange what's called a visiting student scenario where you pay the host university fees, but you're kind of going on your own. Nonetheless, the credits transfer back to your degree, whether it's an exchange or a study away, and it doesn't normally delay your ability to complete your degree on time. And it's something that you should know about if you're thinking of doing, virtually anything, because I know there's sort of sometimes a cliche or a rumor that science students should never go on exchange because grades don't appear on your transcript, although you get transfer credits. It shows experience and it shows your ability to immerse yourself in a completely different environment. So exchanges, if you're interested, are always a positive thing. We have the contact people. Of course, Tanya is the contact person for anything dealing with the Bachelor of Arts and Science, and Mary Gauthier is your contact for exchanges and study away in the Faculty of Science. So those are exchanges. Next slide, please. Now, the last thing that we have is the BSC Global designation. Think of it as a little reward for you sort of stepping out of a comfort zone and doing several things to earn it. So first off, you can take an approved second language course. You can complete an approved research course. And you can, as we say, go global by completing a field study, like I mentioned before, a science internship, like I mentioned before, the exchanges I discussed, or there are individual global courses that also demonstrate your ability to sort of understand the general principles of the BSC Global designation. In a way, again, it serves as a reward for your ability to kind of step outside of your major or your comfort zone and try a variety of new things. So that's the BSC Global. And you can start doing that as early as your first year, because to be honest, a lot of students who don't speak French will take French courses at McGill even as early as their first year. So that's the global designation. And I want to turn over the next slide to Tanya. Oh, no, I don't. This is the sample BSC schedule. I'm going to turn it back to me. So this is what the schedule would look like for a lot of you. You're probably cringing a little bit at the 8:30 math course. Look, I'm sure if all of you couldn't get up early, you wouldn't be here. Hey, calculus is a great way to stimulate your brain early in the morning. Me, I prefer to watch a 24-hour news cycle showing the world is dying. But in any case, this is what your schedule would look like. So you have calculus there, so you would be twice a week. You have chemistry 3 times a week. You have biology twice a week. See, some courses are 1 hour a day, 3 times a week, or 1.5 hours a day, twice a week. You see the physics lectures there, you see chemistry, and notice you see the labs. When you register for your first year, you register not only for your lectures, but your labs. And one thing that's very clear is that you generally only take 4 courses in your first year. Most students, when they come to McGill, are a little bit surprised by the amount of work that they have to do for both their labs and their lectures. So it's not often a great idea to do a 5th course until you become really accustomed to university life. But basically, that's what your first year schedule will look like. So you can plan how you want to have either days off or nice gaps between classes so that you can enjoy the facilities on campus, go for a walk, have lunch, or do various other things. So that's just a sample schedule for most science students. Again, we prefer 4 courses a semester. It's still a full course load. Now for the BANSC schedule, I will actually now turn it over to Tanya.
Thanks, Paul. And please, obviously, we forgot to update this to fall 2022, which is when you would all be starting at McGill. But the difference here with a BANSC student is that you can see that there are also some some arts courses that are part of this curriculum in the freshman program. But same as Paul mentioned, there's labs, there's that. See, it seems that we got a different Calculus 1 lecture, or no, about 8:30, I guess it's the same one. But this is just to show you basically a sampling of what a BANC student would be doing. And I think we are passing it off back to Patricia, but thank you all for listening to Paul and I this evening. Hopefully you have lots of questions.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you spending your time. I know for a lot of you, you're quite busy right now, but nonetheless, I hope this was helpful to kind of show where we're at as a unit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tanya. Thank you so much, Paul. And thank you also to Pete, who has been typing away. Okay, so feel free to continue writing down your questions, and I'm going to take one by one. And then I am going to ask either Paul or Tanya to take the questions. Okay, so I'm going to take the ones that Pete has not addressed yet. Okay, Pete is okay. So are university credits considered advanced standing? Could those credits count toward my degree at McGill?
Well, absolutely. The key thing is if you've taken university credits, they can normally count towards your 120 credit requirement. They can also give you credit and exemption towards programs. Obviously, what happens is you have to have your credits and courses evaluated by the respective departments at McGill, but definitely university transfer credits can count towards your undergraduate degree. Now, it should also be known that you need at least 60 credits to complete your undergraduate degree. So obviously there's a limit to the number of credits you can transfer, but yes, you can transfer university credit towards your degree.
Excellent, thank you. And a student is really not understanding. She's saying what freshman requirements, which ones they are, and how to complete the freshman requirements. I don't know who would want to take that one.
Go back to that slide maybe so I can show Mathilde what the freshman requires. Now, Mathilde, are you a BSc or a BANSC student?
She typed BSc.
Okay. All right, so take a look. So again, Mathilde consists of 23 to 27 credits, depending on courses chosen, right? It's 2 math courses, 4 foundational science courses, and we define foundational as biology, chemistry, and physics, plus 1 complementary science course. You also have the option, if you're in a more math-oriented program, to do 3 math courses. When we define math courses, we mean calculus and linear algebra, and 3 foundational science courses and 1 complementary course. If we go to the next slide, I can show you additional complementary courses. So complementary course is either another foundational science, like the ones that I just mentioned, biology, chemistry, or physics, or any one of the courses listed here. So extreme weather and climate change, intro to computing, the Earth system, global change, past, present, and future, or intro to psychology. You'll be able to discuss it with us during the summer, but if you decide to choose one of these courses, it's usually because you may have a program in mind or an admissions group that you've been accepted to. So I hope that satisfies your question, Mathilde.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. So let me go back to our questions. Okay, so there are a few questions that I think we can probably address globally. There's a person who's asking, for the Bachelor of Science, only 2/3 science were required for admission coming from Ontario. Do we need to have the grade 12 credit to take it in university? For example, grade 12 physics for Physics 101.
Well, this is really a question that should be addressed to the admissions office. So if you have I know they have a new email address now, but if you have it, Patricia,
yes,
maybe give it to them and they can. See, the thing is, we don't handle admission directly to our faculty. This is all done through enrollment services. So Patricia can provide you with the email address and you can email your question to them.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna go into, okay, what's the advantage of a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science instead of a BA in terms of internships and jobs?
Well, should I give you this one, Tanya? Because you get a lot of questions like this.
Well, generally what we can tell you is that computer science programs are offered in 3 degrees at McGill, actually 4 if you count the computer engineering as well. So the Bachelor of Arts, the Bachelor of Arts in Science, and the Bachelor of Science. And the actual computer science courses are the same. So so if you're in a computer science course, the people sitting in the course could be in any of those 3 degrees. Now, in terms of internships and jobs, if you are applying for them, they will be available to the students from all of the degrees equally. There are some students anecdotally who do tell us that sometimes the Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Arts in Science may have a certain cachet, but in terms of the actual knowledge that you have and the computer science courses that you're taking, and as well as the amount of credits, the Bachelor of Arts and the Bachelor of Science are relatively the same.
Yeah, and remember, it's also a question of what you disclose. I think if you just say you have a bachelor's degree from McGill in computer science, there's really no need to kind of over-explain a situation.
Yeah.
I think it's very important not to dwell on the negative. Think of a first date and telling the person about all your flaws within the first 5 minutes. So don't do that when you're about to be employed in a 6-figure computer science job.
The degree differences are basic. The main differences are outside of your actual computer science program. So it's what your freshman program is. It's what policies or rules the overall degree is. If you're in the Faculty of Science versus the Faculty of Arts, there might be some things like the internship program or study away opportunities that might be slightly different. But in terms of the actual content and knowledge in terms of computer science, it's the same courses.
And one other thing, get involved. The key thing is most students I know who've gotten fantastic opportunities after graduation said that getting involved in things like robotics competitions or McHacks, as they call it, or any of the student run activities to learn a lot about how to put your computer science theory into practice has given them a fantastic opportunity once they get to the job interview phase, because they can talk about their experience. And often that's really what carries the day.
Excellent. Thank you. We have 2 minutes to, we covered pretty much all, but there are just 1 or 2 specific ones that maybe would be good to also reply orally. When do you decide if you either do the liberal major or any honors program?
I'd say realistically, for most students, it would be after you complete your U1 year, because at least after you've finished all your freshman courses and have started to take your U1 requirements, then you'll have a better idea of just how quickly you want to go into something more specific like honors or something more general like a liberal. In some cases like math and computer science or physics, you may decide as quickly as your second year once you finish your freshman requirements, because honors in those programs are really quite contingent on how strong a student is in mathematics. So you decide as early as the end of your first year for those specific programs. For the programs in the biological sciences and most of the programs in the physical sciences, really, you'll have to finish your freshman year and your U1 year before making that decision.
Excellent. Thank you very, very, very much. Okay, so I believe we have pretty much covered all of the questions that were in the chat. I just want to remind you that you can contact the Faculty of Science. We have placed here the email that you can use to contact them directly. Please make sure that you include the degree and the McGill ID number for their reference. Don't forget, as we wrap up, that you want to make sure that you accept your offers of admissions as quickly as possible. And stay tuned as well for other events that are coming up. We will be communicating with you via email. So as we come to an end to our webinar, I want to thank you all for being here with us today. We want to congratulate you again, once again. It has been a long journey. You have put in a lot of time and effort into making sure that you have attained the grades you need. We want to welcome you all to our McGill family. And Paul, thank you very much. Tanya and Pete, again, thank you very much for your time. We've shared with all of you a lot of links, a lot of different QR codes, and of course, the content itself of this webinar. On behalf of the Recruitment and Admissions Office, I want to thank you very, very much for being here with us today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your early morning and evening in the country you're in right now. And again, thank you very much for being here today. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.